streak in Atlanta, but without Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and Patrick Beverley, the two stars out over COVID protocols. The point guard out with an injury. Reggie Jackson, Serge Ibaka, they're going to get the start. They both average under 13 points per. Ibaka misses the turnaround. Jackson there, I got your tip in. Working on his offensive rebounding and his scoring. Jackson pushes Ibaka there. They both go for 13 in the first half. The team's got a 5-point lead, but Ibaka would finish with 15. Jackson would finish with 20, and Trae Young was far from finished. Get by no Patrick Beverley to worry about. He's going to the hole. Then he's going to drop it to Clint Capella. Up and down right there. Capella, 13 points, 19 rebounds. Young off the screen. Hits the three. His shot has been, hit and miss this season. Picked it up lately after going through a real cold spell. Young he hit 14 in the third quarter. He said, you know what? Let's do some more in the fourth. This feels good. Drives the floater, but you saw the slide right there, and he's down. He's got an ankle injury, but he's young. Kettle and fire. 38 points. And then he throws up the 2-4 for Kobe Bryant. The Hawks win. Afterwards, he talked about that message.
One thing I think about when I think of Kobe is big shots. Being able to close out games and hit big shots in big moments. And for me, late in the game, that was a big shot for our team. And it was the first thing I thought of. So that's what entailed to that.
Barry Young logs his 47th career 30-point game, 7th most in NBA history by a player before turning 23. Young is 5 such games ahead of Kobe Bryant and Luka Doncic, who are tied for the 8th most.
Start with the Jazz. They had won 8 in a row entering Tuesday. Utah hosting the Knicks in Salt Lake City. It was the Austin Rivers show early. Rivers came off the bench, started the game 6 for 6 from the floor, and this perfect shooting would end up making history. Rivers with a step-back 3 here, and he's 7 for 7 now. A little more than a minute later, Knicks up 5. Rivers, 8 for 8 from the floor now. A minute later, Knicks up 10. Rivers, how about 3 more? 9 for 9 from the floor. Less than a minute later, with the Knicks up 11, Rivers stepping into a 3. 10 for 10 from the floor. He becomes the first player of the last 25 seasons to come off the bench and go 10 for 10 from the field in the first half. Had 25 points on that perfect shooting. Didn't score in the second half. Knicks by 13 at the break. Third quarter, here comes the Jazz. Donovan Mitchell. Not a great shooting night for him. 3 for 15. Scored just 9 points. But that cut it to a 5-point game. And with Rivers on the bench, Jazz are making moves. They'll get it around to Bojan Bogdanovic. Jazz 15 of 48 from three-point range. 7 straight games for them with at least 15 threes now. Early fourth quarter, Jazz up 2. George Niang, 3 for 6 from three-point range. All Jazz the rest of the way. Next possession, Jordan Clarkson to Rudy Gobert. Monster game for Gobert. 18 points, 19 boards, and 4 blocks. Jazz quickly up 7. They wouldn't look back. Royce O'Neal, career-high 20 points for him. Make it 9 in a row for Utah as they knock off New York 108-94. So now the Jazz extend the longest win streak in the NBA this season to 9 games, and they've looked like the best team in the league over that stretch. The Jazz hitting close to 19 threes per game. They're outscoring opponents by nearly 16 points per game. The biggest key, that 3-point shooting in the second half. The Jazz are shooting 16% better than their opponents from beyond the arc after halftime, holding opponents to just 28%. Let's bring in Tim Legler now. Tim, Donovan Mitchell goes 3 for 15, scores 9 points. The Jazz still win comfortably. Now, you can insert your own Knicks joke there if you're so inclined, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're talking about the Jazz as serious contenders in the West. How serious are they?
It's a great sign for them to win this game because they certainly didn't play very well offensively in the first half, but Stan, it's typical of what they do. They're across the board. They're near the top of the league in almost every category statistically. When I look at this team, I start checking off boxes. What you need to be a contender. They've got them all. They've got a star scorer in Donovan Mitchell. They've got an elite level rim protector and defensive player of the year anchoring their defense in Rudy Gobert. They've got elite level point guard play in terms of IQ and running a team in Mike Conley. They've got a stable full of shooters when you look at guys like Bogdanovic and Niang, Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench, giving you that 6-man. component. This is a team that is so well-rounded and plays so well together. It's not like Utah Jazz teams in the past that seem like they're a nice story, but you know they don't have quite enough. This team has enough on both ends of the floor, and they're leading the league in three-pointers made this year. I didn't know that the Utah Jazz would ever get to that category, but that's where they are. That's the way you win in modern basketball. 5 different guys making 2 threes a night at least. Great balance across the board. I just like the way this team looks, fits. Obviously, 9-game winning streak makes you believe a little bit more, but I think this team could get to the conference finals. It would not surprise me one bit.
All right, all the focus on L.A. with the Lakers and Clippers here, but Utah making a good run right now, and we'll see if they can keep it up. Appreciate it, Tim.
Thanks, Dan.
Clippers opening his
Westbrook and the different uniforms that they wear now that they've been swapped for one another. And Wall and Beal dapping up each other before the game. Friends, teammates, the whole shabeel. Wall strips his guy.
Those remind me of the Reggie Theus Kings uniform.
I get so confused
Right?
about. Again, I never feel older than talking about uniforms. John Wall doesn't look old. John Wall, who had that Achilles injury and the questions about his explosivity and his burst. Well, he's answering those. Wall had 15 at the half. Beal, first since Michael Jordan in 88-89 to score 25 or more in the first dozen games of the season. Westbrook here. Wall trips and John starts and it gets serious. I mean, real serious.
Scoreboard.
Wall's loud clapping him.
I'd say scoreboard.
That's kind of high school. I mean, when you're in the NBA, I think you just take it to a different level.
Scoreboard don't lie.
Well, that's true also. Wall drains the 3. He finishes at 24. Beal had 33. Wall with these thoughts when the game was over.
Man, I just feel like those guys, I know I did my things off the court that I apologize for, that I could have been better with. But the love that I have for that community in D.C. and the fans there that love me since for 10 years, I have nothing but love for those guys. But I just feel like their organization thought I was done. No matter how much hard work I put in over the summer, they came and watched me. I thought they thought I was done. And that's why I came out here and did what I did.
There's still a lot of love for that man in this community who did a lot in this community. Is that about right, Jeff? Utah's won 8 straight, longest active streak. We showed you that to start the show. They were trailing early because Austin Rivers went nuts, but Jazz hit the 3 there to take the 5-point lead, and Jordan Clarkson and Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell. Can't let the Spider eyeball that one. Lead is now double digits. Royce O'Neal spinning. Head faking. Head fakes are underappreciated, youngsters. Head fake. It'll buy you a little clean look, see, angles? Or you can pass it to a teammate. O'Neal. The and one. So, all that Austin Rivers bucket getting early doesn't help them a whole lot. They get beat by 14. That's 9 in a row for this Jazz team. Mitchell, the star, a bunch of sort of cohesive pieces who have been together for a few years. I guess Steve Kerr recently mentioned it. It reminds him of that Warriors, sort of as they were evolving. It's at least 50